Hello everyone. Let us now discuss part 2 of chapter 1, The Earliest People, from your class 5 SST book. In part 1, we discussed about the evolution of humans. In this part, we will learn about the sources of history. Let us get started. Now, first we must know what is prehistory. The period of history before there were any written records of the events is called prehistory. We must know that people did not learn reading and writing by birth. This is something that humans have learned through time, according to their need and development. Therefore, the early humans also did not know the art of reading and writing. That is why they do not have any written record of the events that had occurred in their life. Therefore, this period before there were any written records is known as prehistory. Human prehistory is divided into three successive periods: the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. Since there is no any written document, this period is best understood from the study of fossils, stone tools, and cave paintings. These archaeological evidences are the sources of history, which help the archaeologists understand how early humans might have lived in their environment. Let us find more about these sources of history. So let us begin with fossils and bones. Fossils are the hardened remains of prehistoric animals and plants. Fossils are typically created when an animal or plant dies. Before it has a chance to decay, it is covered with sediment, which protects it from the elements. As sediment builds up on top of the animal or plant, it becomes hard and forms rock. From skeletons to teeth, early human fossils have been very important in tracing the evolution of mankind. With the rapid pace of new discoveries every year, changes in bone structure, addition of bones, and other aspects can be analyzed. For instance, Lucy, dated to be more than 3.2 million years old, is the oldest hominid fossil to be discovered. It was discovered in 1974 at the site of Hadar in Ethiopia by Donald C. Johanson and his student Tom Gray. Johansen and Gray were out searching for animal bones in the sand, ash, and silt when they spotted a tiny fragment of arm bone. Johansen immediately recognized it as a belonging to a hominid. Shortly thereafter, as they looked up the slope, they saw more bone fragments of ribs, vertebrae, thigh bones, and a partial jawbone. 2 weeks later, after many hours of excavation, screening, and sorting, several hundred fragments of bones had been recovered, representing 40% of a single hominid skeleton. It was named Lucy after Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the Beatles song playing on the radio when Johansen and his team were celebrating the discovery back at the camp. Later on, various studies on this fossil Lucy helped the historians to learn a lot about the hominids and the early people. This is how fossils and bones can also serve as a source of history. Our next source is cave paintings. Apart from fossils, paintings have been found in caves which date back to millions of years ago. Since colors and pens were not discovered, it appears that people at that time used natural pigments from plants and rocks to draw the pictures. Much of the art depicts drawing and painting of people and animals. Since the people back then sustained themselves or survived through animals, these paintings bear proof of that. It also tells us about the types of animals that were around people back then and how they hunted them. Thus, we can observe that though reading and writing were not yet invented, People still could express themselves through paintings. And these paintings still works as a source of information about their lives. Now let us learn about our next source, that is tools. Many tools have been discovered which can be traced back to the prehistoric times. The recovered stone tools suggest that the tools were used to cut meat and bone, scrape bark of trees and animal skins. They were also used to chop fruits and roots. We must know that the very first tools were just pieces of stones. But once people discovered that it can be helpful, they began to sharpen stones of different shapes and sizes to make more useful tools. Flint, a hard steel grey stone, was often used because it could be chipped easily. Even bones of animals were used as tools. So far, tools have been the most useful discovery to the people. And from the remains of these tools, historians have learned a lot about the life of early people. We must also note that anything that belongs to an era or age can be a source of history.